So thermostats are often very important if you are a keeper of the animals, whether they're reptiles or amphibians, or things like plants or some other animals that need thermostats. You're going to have some decisions to make because there's multiple thermostats to pick from. Specifically online, I'm sure you can find even more products and more variations in stores. I have two types of thermostats that I've been using. One is advertised for reptiles. They're made by Zilla. There's two different variations. There's the Zilla 500 watt and then the Zilla 1000 watt. And then there's the JumpStart, which is advertised for seed germination, heat mats, reptiles, and brewing. But they both do the same job, and I think they can be compatible with the same things. I've been using the Zillas for quite a while. I actually have 3 of them, and then someone in the comments suggested that I try the JumpStart one, so I got that a few months ago, and I've been using it with my second smaller ball python in his enclosure. So if you're interested in any of these 2 items or any other heating items, I have a kit linked in the description that goes to a kit.com/GoHerping link. You can go buy these products there if you make a decision on which one you want, or anything else I've listed there, or anything else on Amazon actually if you use those links. Doing so gives me a small commission, so it's a good way to support the channel if you're interested. But we can go ahead and start breaking down the different thermostats. So we have 2 different companies and 3 different products here. Firstly, price is pretty important. The Zilla 500 watt is going to be $36 on Amazon. These are all Amazon prices here. The Zilla 1000 watt is $35. I don't know why the better one is $1 cheaper. And then the JumpStart I got for $35, but apparently right now it's on sale for $27. I don't think that's a usual thing. So by the time you're watching this video, it'll probably be back up, or it might be back up to $35, but you can always check. So they're all the same price. This isn't really going to help you out with your decision. But the second thing we've got to pick from is analog and digital. The Zilla are analog and the JumpStart is digital. This means that when you are choosing the temperature you want, the Zilla is going to come with just a little knob that you can turn with some numbers printed on there. I don't mind this. I think it works fine as long as the temperatures are actually accurate, which we'll get to later. I guess it's not technically completely analog because it does have 2 lights, a green light which means the power is on and working, and a red light meaning that it's currently generating energy for the heat source if it needs to bring the temperature up. The JumpStart isn't too different, however it is digital, so you can set the temperature that you want very specifically to a degree. Both of these can do Fahrenheit and Celsius, so the JumpStart is probably better when it comes to actually setting that temperature because you can actually see the numbers right there. And this also has 2 little lights on it, one being the power showing that it's working and on, and then one being the heating for when it is rising and raising the temperature in your enclosure. So for analog versus digital, I would say JumpStart takes this one. Next up, we've got the plug types. The Zilla 500 watt has one 2-prong plug. These are American prongs, so I don't know what you would do if you're not in the US. I don't even know if these are available. But the 500 watt has one 2-prong. The 1000 watt has 3 2-prongs, and then the JumpStart has 1 3-prongs. So there's no really winner here. I think the best of these would be the 1000 watt with the 3 2-prongs, and then the JumpStart with the 1 3-prongs. So basically, if you have a heat source that needs a lot of heating, and you'll see if it has those 3 prongs, you won't be able to use that one with any of the Zilla thermostats. This can only be used with the JumpStart, but if your plug is just a 2-prong, which is most of them, this will work with any of the 3, but if you get the 1000 watt, you can use more of them. Now I would say the JumpStart might be better in this case because people said they did actually plug a strip into this, which means you could have up to like 7 to 10 things plugged in. The actual seller doesn't say you can do that, but in the reviews people said they do that just fine. But I think it really depends on this. I really don't mind the 2 prongs because all of the heating sources I use, like heat mats and stuff, are going to be 2 prongs anyway. So that's fine for me, but that's up to you on whether you want those 2 or 3 prongs or how many or whatever. The temperature range is of course important. This is showing how cold it can actually set a temperature to and how hot. The Zilla 500 and 1000 can go from 60 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit, meaning that if you need an enclosure to be 55 degrees for some reason, you won't be able to do that because it'll have to be at least 60 degrees, and if it's like 110 or higher, you won't be able to set it to that. The JumpStart is 68 to 108 degrees Fahrenheit, so this one can get 3 degrees hotter. However, the Zilla can get 8 degrees cooler, which means that the Zilla is going to take this one because it does have a bit larger range. Next up, we've got the probes. These are the little things that actually measure the temperatures in the enclosures. They both come with one. They both seem to work fine. The Zilla comes with this large plastic one. I actually prefer the larger probe size because it seems to stay in place a bit easier. It's easier to kind of fit it somewhere and get it to not move around, because it is a bit hard to keep these in place. But plastic, it's probably not as good as the metal on the JumpStart, but the JumpStart metal one is smaller, and it actually comes with this little suction cup to hook it into place, but it doesn't work. Altogether, I probably spent like an hour trying to get that stupid little suction cup to actually stick to glass, and it just won't. It's completely pointless. I don't even know why it's there, and I don't know why I'm being so triggered by a little suction cup. But don't expect that to work. I can't get it to work. I tried to wet it. I tried to clean the surface. It's just a completely pointless little thing there. So although I think the Zilla is better with that large plastic probe, the JumpStart does have a metal one, which might be better. It just makes me feel a bit better, like it's a bit sturdier. Who knows though? I kind of prefer the larger plastic one though. But this is something that also depends on what you want. Next up, we've got mounting. This is how where you can actually put your thermostat. So the Zilla one's pretty cool. It has a little hole in the back of the thing, which allows you to hook it on things with a metal hook that's included. That metal hook can then go into a suction cup, and these suction cups actually work, JumpStart. But this lets you suction cup the whole thermostat straight to the front or side or back of the enclosure, so you have easy access to it and it's visible. Personally, I don't even use these because I actually like having them invisible. I usually try and hide them behind the enclosure just to make the setups look a bit more minimal and with less cords. But if you do want to do that, that's an option. While the JumpStart one, it does have a little hole to mount it, but I don't think it came with anything. I'm almost positive nothing actually came with it. So I had to use a little twist tie to actually hook it onto my reptile rack. So I'd say the Zilla takes this one because it does come with more options to mount the thermostat. Finally, we've got by far the most important thing, that being the actual temperature accuracy. I tested these out with my favorite temperature gun, which you can also buy in the description with that same kit. I've been using this a lot and I'm pretty sure it is pretty accurate. So this is what I use to test the temperatures. But even if it's not perfectly accurate, we can still use it to show the relative differences within these different thermostats. So because I have 3 Zilla ones, this might not necessarily be completely fair if, say, the JumpStart one just happens to be an individual that's a bit faulty. But even if it is, that's going to be an issue. But I have the 3 Zillas. One was a 90-degree hotspot, and with the temperature gun, it showed up as 83 degrees. That's kind of concerning. That's a 7-degree difference. Again, these both might be off a little bit, like maybe the temp gun is 2 degrees below, maybe the thermostat is 2 degrees above the actual temperature, but still that's a 7-degree difference between the thermostat and the temp gun. The second Zilla was a 90-degree hotspot and it showed up as 85 degrees, not quite as bad, a 5-degree difference. The JumpStart one, however, I had a 90-degree hotspot set up, and on the temp gun it showed up as 88 degrees, which is only 2 off, which makes me feel a lot better than that 5 to 7 degree off thing with the Zilla ones. But let's say the temperature gun is wrong. Even if it is incorrect, that still means that the JumpStart one is about 3 to 4 degrees more accurate than the Zilla one in my cases, and based on what I tested. I'm sure I didn't do it perfectly, but I do have 4 I'm testing with these, so it sounds like the JumpStart is more accurate, especially in my case. Okay, so quick overview now. We've got the price. They're the same price, so that doesn't really help you. We've got analog versus digital. I would say JumpStart takes this because it's digital. We've got the different plug types. Again, this is something that depends on just what you prefer, whether you want those prongs and how many you actually want. We've got the temperature range. The Zilla does have a slightly increased temperature range, so that's going to take it over JumpStart. The probes also depend. It depends on whether you want a slightly bulkier plastic one, which I actually kind of prefer, or the smaller metal one with a suction cup that doesn't even work. Mounting has to go to Zilla for me because it does come with the suction cups that actually work, and it comes with additional metal pieces, so you can use it in that, while the JumpStart only has a little hole for you to mount it, but you have to find something to actually mount it with yourself, because I don't recall getting anything in that package. And then we've got accuracy. That has to go to JumpStart because it appears, based on my personal tests that I just did today, I did the best I could. No guarantee it was 100%, but it looks like they're 3 to 4 degrees more accurate. So that means technically these would end up the same with how many different, I guess, categories go to each one. However, the temperature accuracy has to be superior to everything else because that's the whole reason you have it, which means that I would prefer the JumpStart one, and it looks like I'll just be going with those in the future. based on what I have going right now. Although I think either of these are fine, and I already have 3 of the Zilla ones, I think they are close enough. I'll keep testing it and seeing if it's really as far off as I think it is, because if so, that's going to be a bit problematic and I might have to rethink those. But yeah, I think they're both good choices. This was just a comparison. They both have a lot of good reviews. A lot of people use both of them. Again, you can check them out in the description. You can go buy those and try them out for yourself, see how they work for you, see if you enjoy them, because they are really important for a lot of animals to make sure they don't get burned and make sure they have the right temperatures, especially with really hot things like heat mats and ceramic bulbs. Let me know if you have any other products you suggest. Maybe I can do some more of these comparisons if you're interested. It's kind of cool to do them to see just which products are superior. That's going to be it for this video. So I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.